We all thought the World Cup break would do him some good with Steve Cooper, having so many players brought in the summer to try to bed them in as well. But it doesn't, not at least not for today. Again, it's just one game back. It's really hard to judge. But today did not seem like that break benefited them in any way in terms of having more of his tactics and more of his philosophy implemented into these players, Martin.
Okay, Michelle. First of all, they got promotion. They got promotion eventually through the playoffs. Won the game. They had a number of players on loan that they had to either try and capture or disregard. So the side was going to change around. And very obviously, if I was Steve Cooper, I'd be wanting players into the football club as quickly as possible. Absolutely right. And they were coming, and they were coming in droves at the time. So suddenly you've got about what is it, 12, 14, 15 new players coming in that you've never worked with before, some of which I'm sure you have had influence in signing. Some of the others might have been foisted on him. Not sure about that there, but it's only from a distance. So suddenly you've got all these players. All these players are costing a lot of money as well too. Nottingham Forest has spent more money this season than they have done in the history of the football club, the whole history of the football club. So suddenly he's got these players all demanding, wanting to playing almost immediately as well too. So he has to sort all of that out. I do feel for him because this is. I know it's part of your job to do it, but some of these players he will not know the strengths and weaknesses of at all until he works with them on a daily basis for a number of weeks on the training ground for a start. So all of that and it's whirling around in your mind, and then suddenly when you don't get a result with the 11 or the 15 that you've used during that day, then you start to think, well, I've got another 4 here, I haven't played them, maybe throw them in. And it's one of those situations. If you're winning the football match, winning the games, you can gradually bring people in and sort out your plan. But your whole philosophy, as you've mentioned, Michelle, your whole game plans get thrown out the window very, very quickly when results are not coming your way, and suddenly you're left with all of these players. I think Danny hopefully would agree with me that yes, you want players in. You desperately need players in at this football club to survive in this league. But when you've got a host of them coming to you almost within a daily basis, then that becomes a bit of a problem for you, which you, as the coach, as the manager, have to resolve. Nobody else.
Michelle, as well, if I can just touch on something, I feel like when you're in a team and it's so difficult to build team cohesion, when that amount of players come into one team in one window, it's so difficult to build relationships on and off the pitch. Because sometimes, especially if you're a team that's been promoted, I came up with Leicester, and we survived that season off the back of how well we knew each other. We were like friends, like a band of brothers. And I'm not saying that these Forest players aren't friends, because of course they are, but sometimes it can take a lot of time for a manager or just a team and the players themselves to instill it within each other. You can do all the culture you want, but sometimes it can take years, and then relationships on the pitch. Me looking at my centre back, we working with my right winger, and if the players are constantly changing or coming in, it is difficult to do that while also then trying to get points in the Premier League, which is very difficult to do.
Can we then look at the strategy of the board of Nottingham Forest coming into this plan? And I understand the need to get this many players because the players that they came up with were either on loan or just out of contract. I understand the need for it. But then they brought in this many players, and majority of them are on short-term contracts. You're talking about 1 year or 1 year-ish. And it is likely, based on these contracts, that if they do go back down, and like you said, it's going to be difficult. They won't have a lot of time to try to bed in philosophy and all that in the Premier League season. There's a huge chance they could be relegated. And if that's the case, it just seems like they're going to start again from square one next season if they are relegated down to the Championship.
Well, first of all, I didn't know that the players coming in are on short-term contracts, like 1 year contracts. I'd be really surprised if you are paying anything over £25 million for any particular player that they'd be signing for as short a term as that. So where it might happen, they might have clauses in their contracts that their money is cut if relegation appears, and that's a chance that any particular player might take. That I don't know, but as I say, I would be surprised, Michelle, if the players were anybody who's costing, as I say, 25 million plus. is on a 1 or 2 year deal. I think they would be looking for at least 4 years. The football club would be as well too. However, taking that aside, I get back to the point. Nottingham Forest obviously had to do something big as well to retain their position, because you see some clubs who come up and down who are yo-yo clubs, and that's the last thing after 23 years in the wilderness, as it were. Nottingham Forest did not want to be that yo-yo club. Worked really hard to get up. Steve Cooper's done brilliantly to get the team up. So now they want to stay there. So one of the things, and I suppose this is the point, that if someone is, if your owner is giving you that opportunity to get a lot of players in, I don't think that you can refuse it as a manager. To begin with, you'd be delighted. But when, as I said to you, the only problem was that so many come in within a short period of time, and the season's upon you, and then suddenly you're having to try and work out your own particular strategy with the players that you have at your disposal.